And we appear to be live. Everybody's going to get a great view of my smartphone desktop today, since I get to do this update from here. I'm pretty sure it's not going to divulge anything too serious and violate my security in any way. So let's just move on. Here's the sun in 304 angstroms. By the way, thanks everybody for joining the stream. Since Google doesn't have the ability to write software that functions, we're going to be viewing everything like this. Let me turn up my brightness because I can't see right. I don't usually appear on camera in the morning, but allow me to do so. Do I look pissed off? Because I'm pissed off. Really pissed off. And I'm so sick of Google wasting everybody's time that I've decided to get them. And you can take that however you like. But I'm going to get you, Google. I'm going to get you. You can take that however you like. So we see Sunspot 2736. It has done nothing but grow. It's beta, delta, gamma class now, I think. I'm not a huge expert on sunspot classifications, but we're working toward it. Here's that beast of a sunspot. Check it out. It's actually moderately large by universal sunspot standards. We've got some interesting opposite polarity mixing on the leading edge, which you can see in blue and green there. And it's thrown off C-class flares, tons of C-class flares. I guess we can still play music. This one's for you, Google. That was my colleague. And if the screen orientation would work, we'd be really happy. All right, there we go. Here's a song everybody's familiar with. By the way, this is called Temple Strike. All right. Let's look at the intensity gram here so you can see what the sunspot looks like without the magnetic colors filled in. And there you go. That's the real deal. Now, the umbrae aren't huge. And Sunspot 2735 has degraded out of existence. But 2736 is going strong. And I see some filamentary activity going on. So, in other words, we've got a lot of stuff to look at. And I'm going to get to as much as I can. Keep in mind, the reason we do a live stream in the first place is because the files get too big real quick. And we lose the ability to process and produce videos. So here's the X-ray environment. See, just a few hours ago we had another looks like a C3. That wasn't really the X-ray map I wanted to look at. The main thing I came here for was, if you go to solarham.net, where is it? There's a synoptic map, because I want to look at the filaments. I think you click on details or something, map. Here's a synoptic map. I want to see where they claim this filament is. All right, so that filament has moved around, and you can see it moving around on the 304 angstroms view. We apologize, links will not be included today because this is too much work and not enough pay and too much crap software. You hear that, Google? Crap software, Google. Just think about how much time Google wastes via Android phones. If there are a billion of them, and they waste 1 minute of 1 billion people's time per day, that's 365 billion wasted minutes per year. Think about that. All right. If we miss any sections on today's video, you're just going to have to deal with it. We do have most of the links we usually use here, so By the way, spaceweathernews.com and Brave browser go together better if you use desktop site. All right, so there's the X-ray environment for the past 3 days there. You can see just C flare after C flare. That sunspot is not screwing around. Now, we see some massive earthquake risks there. We see a phi angle floating around the 180 mark. That's a massive earthquake risk. And I haven't looked at any of that stuff yet. We're going to get to as much as we can because it's already 4 o'clock. And I should have been done with this video by about 20 after. There's the signets. We are expecting a CME to impact Earth. Oh, geez. We're expecting a CME to impact the Earth on Saturday, somewhere between noon Universal Time and 7 p.m. Universal Time. Last I checked, KP index is now down to 0. So that's a cosmic ray human health alert right before, 1 day before the coronal mass ejection is going to arrive. We're expecting KP of 6 that day. No major destruction, but we are expecting to see maybe some grid failures in places like third and fourth world nations. There's the F2 ionosphere layer looking totally normal. Auroras are looking pretty normal too. All right, let's break out the Gong 2 if I can find it. The reason I'm using my desktop is because I don't want to type while I'm trying to live stream. So here's the Gong site. We're going to look at PFSS model data. Here's the one we typically look at. And we should see some big perturbations in the North Pole fields there, represented in green. By the way, since the company that makes this streaming software, who we won't mention, has changed their software also. See the wrench? You see the brush, how it's got a crown next to it? That means they want me to buy the software in order to be able to draw on the screen. And it's not good enough to do that, so I ain't doing it. I'm just going to buy some really good stuff or get some open source stuff when I have time to do so. So there's the Gong 2. You can see Sunspot 2736's influence on the North Pole. That sunspot is very high off the equator. And let me just see what tab I'm supposed to be viewing next here. All right. Got a lot of tabs open, and most of them are unnecessary. All right, let's look at the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here. I'll show you those X-ray flares if it loads. I'm so fed up with software, I can't even tell you. My first year at college, my major was computer science, math background, and I couldn't stand it. By 1 year in, I got the hell out of that field entirely because I didn't want to sit around and write code for 30 years, so I went into professional sports instead. So there's your X-ray flares. Let me zoom out so you can see the timestamp. All right, thanks for that Pig Latin update. All right, yeah, it would be really nice if we could use the computer to screen share. I'm going to get new software today, and I'm going to stop using all of this crap. Somebody has to make an open source TriCaster. If you know of one, please leave it in the comments, because I have had it up to Saturn's orbit with this BS software. In the 80s and 90s, having a bug or a glitch in a piece of software was newsworthy. Now not having a bug or a glitch in software is newsworthy. You don't believe me? Pick up an Android phone. It'll make you want to stab yourself, maybe. Back to Sunspot 2736. As I figure out what slide to view next. Thanks to being screwed by Google again. We're not going to look at total electron content. Magnetosphere movies are relatively uninteresting. We're going to skip that. We're going to skip the Zooniverse.org feature. Well, I guess we have to look at Magnetosphere movies. Because it is looking weak. Looking weak right before a coronal mass ejection hits. Is not a good thing. By the way, we're going to avoid the USGS US downgrade service site. We'll just look at the pressure this time to try to keep this thing as short as possible and reduce the likelihood of me ripping my hair out by the roots. By the way, this track is called Wind Chime Madness, and it's an old favorite that came out around the year 2001. People seem to really like this. There's the pressure of the magnetosphere, and talk about weak. Look at the size of the plasma spheres. This is bad. This is the kind of stuff that increases the likelihood of major damage from tomorrow's coronal mass ejection. Well, if the cops come here to check me out, I wish them luck, because they have got probable cause to do absolutely nothing. We have this thing called the Fourth Amendment that protects us from illegal search and seizure. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Pardon my rage. You haven't even seen me pissed off, because if you haven't heard anything get broken, I probably wasn't that pissed. Although I can't even tell you how sick of Google software I am. It makes me want to jump off a 4-foot tall bridge into a shallow creek and not injure myself. I will refresh the X-ray, the GOES X-ray imager right now. Thanks for letting us know. That's the kind of stuff we really appreciate. I'll just go to spaceweathernews.com. Keep my hair? I'm not keeping my hair. No way. It's got to go. It's not very aerodynamic, and being a cycling time trial specialist, you wouldn't put hair on your race car, would you? Oh yeah, we're getting a flare going on right now, folks. A flare happening at the moment. So that's always interesting. In fact, it's happening so currently that let's go back to the SDO again. And we should be able to actually see it on the 94 angstrom still image, right? By the way, I recommend you look at all this stuff yourself. Don't take our word for it. If I say anything that sounds too controversial, look it up. Because I'm not always right. Anyway, there's that flaring going on. It's a pretty serious situation. By the way, let's talk about prepping, since it's a great opportunity to use coronal mass ejection as a dry run, right? Check out the USCCA, USconcealedcarry.com. Because here's a great map for you. We've got a concealed carry reciprocity map and gun laws by state. You just select a state. Let's pick a terrible one. Oh, wait. We got
calling on behalf of Catherine around.
Let's pick one of my least favorite states.
Here that you've been using some seed samples for your own personal advantage. If you'd like to give me a call at 7.
No reciprocity. I think they've recently put in magazine capacity requirements.
Good day.
So anyway, if you want to figure out what the hell you're doing when you travel to horrific states like New Jersey, Maryland, and Illinois, there's a map for you. So, yeah, if you want to get a carry permit, don't go to Jersey or New York. You won't get one. By the way, Pennsylvania is a shall issue state. Moving on. Let's look at some articles here. Galactic Center Visualization delivers star power. Perhaps a step in the right direction? We invite you to head to phys.org and read this article. There's a great visualization. It's just a model. It is based on data to some degree. I don't know how much. Here's a little clip. It's a three-dimensional animation, so you can actually move the screen around while it's playing, which is what I'm doing. I would draw an arrow on the screen to show you, but I can't. So, there's an interesting article. Now let's head to quakes.globalincidentmap.com, as I'm not going to try to navigate the USBS website today. So whatever we get is what we get. We see a 4.4 in Colombia at depth, right in the warning zone. 5.1 off of New Zealand. 4.8 and a 4.9 at Peru. 4.0 at Canada. Where's that one located? It looks inland. Okay, very far north. Very far north. And what else do we have here? We have an increased risk for earthquakes. There's a coronal hole rotating in, and when that coronal mass ejection pulse goes away, if activity stays as low as it is, Sunday is going to be a special earthquake risk. And I'm going to do a video specifically about earthquakes and the massive risk on Sunday, probably starting Saturday night, actually. So there's a significant chance we'll get up Sunday and see a 7 magnitude earthquake, or possibly even something bigger than that. I mean, the 6 and 7 magnitude earthquake drought continues. So here's a 5.2 mid-Atlantic ridge, 4.8 at Indonesia, 4.9 in Mexico. So basically the drought continues, folks. So have a plan. What's going on with volcanoes, you ask? Well, let's look at volcanodiscovery.com. All right, what do we have? Let's look at today's volcanoes. We got Manam with a 15,000-foot plume, Bromo with a 10,000-foot plume, Tucono 7,000-foot plume, Fuego possible exhalation, Sabancaya a 30,000-foot plume there, so an uptick at Sabancaya. Planchon Peteroa unable to detect, probably due to cloud cover, and Nevados de Chilean with a 12,000-foot isolated puff. What else do we need to cover? I can't remember, folks. Your memory gets bad when you start to get pissed off. I got one for you. Let's show you this one. If you're on Instagram, check out this account. You ever hear of Viola Brandt? Well, probably not, because she's from Germany. However, it's quite an interesting account, because this is a sport that I, as a pro cyclist, was not even aware of. Now, she does have a silver medal in the World Championships. And if you've never seen stuff like this, well, here's a tidbit. I haven't seen this one myself, so let's see what happens. This is not your average cyclist, folks. And if you think that's crazy, it gets a lot crazier. How one learns to do this, I have no freaking idea. I tried to ride a unicycle one time. Oh my gosh, I've never seen that happen before, and I've watched hundreds of her videos. Nice. Showing us some behind the scenes. Thanks, Viola. Instagram.com/Viola Loves Cycling. Super easy to remember. Let's see if I can get a better one here. This one looks good. Yeah. Apparently, somebody beat her in the World Championships last year, folks. So give her a subscribe there, and I don't even think I can do a handstand. She can do one on the handlebars of a bike. So I guess I can probably do a handstand, but yeah. Yep, it's a sport, believe it or not. I was amazed when I found out. All right, let's move on to some other stuff here. Turns out Boeing is going to take a hit today. So be aware if you own their stock, because apparently they were selling safety features only as extras. Well done, Boeing. Good call. Don't devalue human life or anything. By the way, yesterday I called a local radio station who accused me of being a tinfoil hat wearer and that I should call George Norrie and tell him about the coronal mass ejection, because apparently he doesn't understand the science. So I sent him an email urging him to comprehend it. He will remain unnamed, and so will the radio station. By the way, I've been on their radio station before. Scientists have cured alcoholic rats by shooting lasers at their brains. That's a good one. Have a read at sciencealert.com. Here's another great one, as some astronomy is moving in the correct direction. So, galactic chimneys funnel matter away from Milky Way's center. Now, all of you electric universe type people out there totally understand this. They've drawn these Fermi bubbles in here. Look at that image right there, and then go to youtube.com/smAsho. Look at our featured channels, and go watch one of David LaPointe's videos. And it'll change the way you view the universe if you don't understand the physics yet. Talk about rabbit holes. Anyway, there's an image of what's going on in the galactic center, known as Sagittarius A star. Now, if you're interested in watching Sagittarius A star, just go to the Burst Alert Telescope site, which is swift.gsfc.nasa.gov/results/transients/week. And you'll be able to look for this stuff. There's Sagittarius A star's transient emissions. All right. What else do we have here? By the way, the reason the galactic chimney is important is because the galactic chimney has to do with the way the sun moves through the galaxy. So we're always trying to measure this because we want to know what the sun will do next. It's pretty mysterious. Great news here also in the astronomy world, the Pepsi. The Pepsi is revealing the magnetic secrets of a star called 2 Pegasi, which, by the way, is a star you can monitor the transients of also on that same page. That's the Swift Burst Alert Telescope. You can type in the URL by going back to our video and checking it out. You're not going to get links today. Sorry about that. I apologize for Google's inability to write software. So this is great because being able to look at the magnetic environment of a star very far away is what we want to see. It means that we can measure magnetic fields from great distances, and that is how you figure out how the universe works. Thank you, Pepsi. Next, we've got an article about high fructose corn syrup. Stay the hell away from it because it boosts intestinal tumor growth in mice. Yeah, high fructose corn syrup. If you start reading ingredient labels and you want to cut out high fructose corn syrup, you may find yourself depressed. Anyway, another interesting article there. And what else do we have? Pretty much nothing. Any requests? Because it's about time to get the hell out of here, watch our own video, show it to the girlfriend, and then go drive around hundreds of miles doing applied science in the field. Sugar is pretty bad for you. It causes inflammation. Also, keep in mind, oh, you know what? That reminds me. Let me show you another channel that we watch. I'm going to type this one in and see if it comes up. Dr. Eric Berg. All right. This guy is a doctor who favors ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. I know a lot of people know about this. So there, he's got a website, drberg.com. And he's got tons of videos of various lengths, as well as live chats, Q&A sessions. And that's not the right Dr. Eric Berg, I don't think. Anyway, this guy is a huge advocate of the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting, which is a diet shown to increase the lifespan of mice. Those of you who watch the Joe Rogan Experience, I don't know, this thing isn't loading here, but check out Dr. Eric Berg on YouTube. He gets a lot of crap from food industry publications. So anyway, check out the website. If you don't understand the concepts of intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet, it's a method of eating involving high fat, moderate protein, and almost no carbs at all. Newsflash, you don't need carbs. And I can't block his notifications. Oh boy. Can you say software? Now, I know a guy that writes Android apps, and I approached him 2 days ago about starting a software company. It could be a thing. And necessity is the mother of invention, right? All right, folks, anything else? Because I am out of here. If you teach your body to burn fat instead of burning sugar, it takes weeks to get your body to do this. If you teach your body to burn fat instead of sugar, usually takes about 6 weeks. You'll find yourself eating a lot more vegetables. You'll find yourself not hungry. It'll take you, you'll be 14 hours from your last meal and you won't be hungry. Now, obviously, if you have medical conditions like diabetes, you have to take all that into consideration when messing around with a diet like this. But the special forces use ketogenic diets. Ultra-marathon runners use ketogenic diets. Some cyclists use ketogenic diets. Now, I'm not super strict about it because I do need carbs in order to do like a really hard bike ride. But, oh, and one other thing before I close this out. Yesterday I was complaining about this site, and SDO, you did a great job, because watch this, folks. You can now browse this data. We're gonna play a video of just today, because this is now easier to view on my phone. What happened here? This is now easier to view on my phone than it is to view on a computer. I can't figure it out, but for some reason. So let's look at the last 8 hours and 15 minutes of colored magnetogram. It's good times. Sorry about all the clicking. We did our best. All right. So there's the last 8 hours of Sunspot 2736. Is it going to shrink or grow? Oh, man, we forgot to cover the stereo A space weather beacon. Duh. There's probably more ejecta shot off on some of those C flares, folks. Okay, let's see here. All right. This does actually work on the phone, believe it or not. So let's close things out with what everybody's been waiting for. How many coronal mass ejections are there, right? So if you want to check this out yourself, head to this page, click on page 7, Stereo A Core 2 Space Weather Beacon. And we see all kinds of interference around it. Yeah. And I can't grow it any bigger because it's a tiny button that I can barely press. Let's see. Oh, I got to have a movie first. Duh. All right. So we're going to back this up 10 times where it is. We're going to do 100 frames if I can get it to function. Do 100 frames instead of 10 with the same resolution there, 3 frames per second. Let that load. We'll look for ejecta, and then we will close this thing out. That's 321. This is yesterday morning. This is yesterday around noon. That's universal time, by the way. Not much sign of that stuff. If anybody wants to do further analysis, let us know. Let us know what you find. Have a delightful day. Terrence Leonard, all right. By the way, when you do another tip about the ketogenic diet is you got to cheat every once in a while. You got a craving for bread. You've been perfectly on your diet for 5 days. Cheat a little bit. It's all good. Understanding how it works makes you healthier, folks. All right. So anyway, there's the current situation from Stereo A. There's a little more ejecta coming out there, but nothing like that flare that's going to hit tomorrow, which again is expected to show up between noon and around 7 p.m. Universal Time. So that's 1900 for those of you unable to convert military times. All right, we are out of here. So thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Please share, etc. And we'll be doing it all again probably this afternoon. Remember, on your way staring at the sun, don't drink, and if you drink, don't drive. And also, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your arteries.